Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, Ivy got a story for you that is brimming with flavor and a whole lot of chaos. Let's dive into the tale of the great soup tsunami of Bumblesville. In a quaint little town named Bumblesville, there lived a renowned cook, Chef Basil. Now, Basil wasn't just any chef. He was famous for his extravagant, soul-soothing soups. His specialty? The magical miso marvel, a soup so good it could warm even the coldest of hearts. One bright afternoon, Chef Basil was a whirlwind of motion, preparing for the annual Bumblesville Soup Festival. This was the town's biggest event, and Basil was determined to outdo himself. He was going to create a soup so delicious, it could make a stone weep with joy. His kitchen was a delightful chaos of bubbling pots and fragrant steam. But in the middle of all this culinary creation, he completely lost track of time. Just a pinch of paprika, a sprinkle of ginger, a few more magical herbs, he muttered to himself, tossing ingredients into a gigantic pot with reckless abandon. As he stirred his masterpiece, he glanced out the window and saw the festival getting started. The townsfolk were setting up tables, hanging colorful banners, and even tuning ukuleles for what they called the Soup Symphony. "I have to hurry," he exclaimed. In his haste, he cranked the heat all the way up to 11, the highest of high. The soup began to bubble furiously, steam dancing in the air. But Chef Basil was too busy juggling vegetables and singing an off-key version of Super Star to notice the impending disaster. Suddenly, with a loud pop, the massive pot began to vibrate. The ingredients swirled wildly, auditioning for a spot on a cooking show, it seemed. And then, it happened. The soup erupted. "No!" Basil shrieked as a tidal wave of miso surged over the pot's edge. It cascaded down, turning his kitchen into a delicious, soupy water park. The wave flowed with incredible force, drenching everything. "Not the spice rack!" he cried, as his precious spices tumbled into the tsunami, creating a colorful, aromatic whirlpool. Before he could react, the soup had splattered the walls, creating a gooey mosaic. Chef Basil was now knee-deep in his own creation, struggling to stay upright. Outside, the townspeople were clueless until they heard Basil's desperate yelps. They turned just in time to see waves of soup crash through the open kitchen door, making a grand entrance at the festival. "Welcome to the first ever soup tsunami," shouted the town's jolly mayor, Mr. Jenkins, holding his ladle like a surfboard. The crowd erupted in laughter as they watched their favorite chef flailing in the miso. But instead of running away, they grabbed their bowls and dived in. The soup tsunami had become the town's newest, most exciting water slide. Children belly flopped and splashed, while adults used their bowls as makeshift rafts, sailing through the sea of savory goodness. "Who knew soup could be so refreshing?" yelled one woman, balancing a bowl on her head like a fancy hat. Chef Basil, covered in bits of carrot and broth, stood in disbelief. But seeing the joy on everyone's faces, he couldn't stay mad. He decided to join the fun. He found an old floaty and paddled around, ladling soup into bowls like the proud captain of a soup ship. The soup tsunami became legendary. By the end of the day, bellies were full, laughter echoed through Bumblesville, and everyone agreed it was the best soup festival ever. Chef Basil, soggy but smiling, raised his wooden ladle high. to more adventures, he proclaimed. Sometimes it takes a soup tsunami to stir up great memories, and he learned a valuable lesson. Always watch the heat, because sometimes a little overflow can create incredible waves of joy. Thanks for listening to this soupy saga. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next adventure. See you next time.